and welcome back to our channel for another video tutorial. In this video we are making, that is the first part of making a small posy based on the Disney movie Encanto. So lots of lovely bright colours and other little bits and pieces. In this one I'm going to show you how to make some very cute little filler flowers, some little bits of foliage, which are great if you're having to work in miniature to decorate a novelty cake with some flowers and stuff. And we're also going to do some little butterflies and a pair of glasses from some wire. We've got a few little bits and pieces we'll make. So, okay, everyone said you had to have a pair of glasses, so I've got a little pair of glasses, which is what those are, which actually, the technical term for glasses on a stick like that, where there's two lenses, not just one, is a lorgnette.
A lorgnette?
Yes, as it happens. Which is a very, think sort of Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey, having a set of lenses on a chain that she could hold up with a stick.
Stuffy posh people.
But yeah, it's a lorgnette. So we have that. We've got some little Bougainvillea style blossoms. So these are just, you know, they're simple and quick. We've got some foliage to go with them. And then the last thing we'll do this evening is make a little yarn butterfly, because I noticed oftentimes what I'll end up Googling for these is such and such movie and then the word aesthetic, because that will bring up sort of mood boards, I suppose, that people have done with images from the show as well as other ideas and things. And she has, we need to colour this pink, but she has this little sort of yarn brooch on her shoulder. And of course butterflies are a thing in the film, so I thought we'd do that. So I reckon this is plenty to get us started. Obviously it will all become a little brighter once we've dusted it, painted things, coloured it, whatever. And then in the second part, I've a few notions. I've notions of possibly doing something with some wafer paper that will be teal, because we have, of course, like the perfect colour for it. It looks a bit dark on camera there, but it's really beautiful. Actually, that's better. Look at the lid. So yeah, notions of doing something with wafer paper and getting it to set in a sort of rippled pattern, like the flow of a skirt. We will see. So there's that to think about. I think we do need some more butterflies. I've also been thinking, if you imagine having that skirt, so in the film her outfit is very heavily embroidered, which I would imagine that is because it's set, I had to look it up, it's set in Colombia. And I think, like many places in South America, they do have a really strong tradition of hand embroidered, brightly coloured flower patterns and stuff like that. So I was thinking that if we maybe had that teal wave, it could work to form some other shapes with wire that we could then paint, that hopefully when then layered upon aforementioned wave of teal cloth, we might be able to make it look like the embroidery. I'm not sure, we can come back to that. And I am also contemplating going for a candle, because we have incorporated candles before. When we did Beauty and the Beast, we had a real life miniature candelabra, which was tremendous fun to make, so I'm thinking about doing that as well. For our little bougainvilleas, I am going to use 3 of our long yellow stamens. I've just cut them in half there. I've got a bit of 26 gauge wire. We are going to tape the stamens onto the wire, and then we're going to use a hydrangea shape to form the little flower alongside our rose leaf veiner to sort of give us the vague ideas of because bougainvilleas have, the petals look like leaves, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You know what a bougainvillea is, Chris, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
So you know in Athens when you have the very brightly coloured flowers that climb all the way up the front of the building, that will often be like pink, purple or peach? That's what they are.
Okay.
So I'm just going to trim this down to about 1/3 width. And the whole thing is that there's a, so what is it? There is a lady who lives in a village, and the village is attacked and they have to run away, and she has triplets. Are they triplets? I think they're triplets. And then, hang on, I'll come back to this. Right, to attach these stamens, I'm going to attach my tape to the wire first. Oh, I did it with scissors. Oh, you were watching that? Yes, no, I know. So attached to the wire, I'm going to take my 3 little stamens, make them more or less equal in height there. Line them up with the end of the wire, and can you see my wire is about there, so I've just got a little bit sticking up. And then holding it together, we will wrap the tape around. So yeah, the power, and they all get magical abilities. And that's it. He sees things in the future that are bad luck. So it's this whole thing that her mum, the main character's mum, and aunts and uncle and everything do. They do this whole cycle. We don't talk about Bruno, but then it turns out that Bruno didn't leave. He's actually just been like living in the walls of the house in secret for like 20 years, which actually is a little bit weird when you think about it. And then the main character, Mirabelle, gorgeous dress that she has, saves the day, and Bruno's there, and it's all lovely. I think that's about it. She lives with the rats. Yeah, I have to say actually, when did we? I've only seen it once or twice, I think, and the last time I watched it, I have to say, the pressure that the grandma puts on everybody to perform constantly. Oh, sorry. It was quite anxiety-inducing. It wasn't a fun watch. So, you know, right, white, I am using our magenta, and we want to get this lovely strong pink colour. So I just thought I'd mix a little bit up, because quite often you will see me going for slightly paler colours. And I thought it would be worth just showing you mixing up. You can very easily get that darker shade of pink. And you saw there, it is... I put enough in, but it's not loads, so you don't have to put tons and tons and tons in, and it shouldn't be enough to affect the quality and the consistency of your flower paste. That's it. So Mirabelle doesn't have a power, but in the end it turns out that actually, correct me if I'm wrong, her power is that she sort of reunites the family and brings everybody back together again, and she's sort of the glue for the... Is that right? It has been a while since I've seen it, and there was a singing, dancing 3-year-old in the vicinity, which doesn't necessarily facilitate paying attention. Yeah. Right. So I shall roll out my flower paste. Is it just me, or is it really warm? I swear that it's not even. I think it is, but I also think it's me. It's only 20 degrees in here, but I feel like the temperature has gone up a lot. So fairly thin, but not too thin, because we're going to have to squish it onto onto the wire. You should maybe... I am using the medium-sized hydrangea cutter from the Blossom Sugar Art hydrangea set. We have them available on our website. I say this every time I use it. It's covered in tape on the back from this one time I cut out millions to make ruffles, and honestly, like, my palm was bleeding, so the tape just took the sharpness off. And I should really, at some point, try and peel it off or do something. So I'm just going to cut out... I've got 3 stems ready, so I'll do a few of them. So the family member that I think personally has the best power is Mirabelle's little cousin that gets his power at the start of the film. I can't remember what his name is, but his power, Chris, is that he can talk to all the animals. Right, what I'm going to do is use a fairly small ball tool. I'm just going to get those edges, and I'm just going to bring the point up of each of those petals a little bit. Kind of smushed that one there, but it will be okay. Do that to all of them. So we play Dungeons and Dragons, don't we, dear?
We do.
And my character is a druid, and she can cast a spell to talk to animals. And I do it all the time, and to be honest, I think it winds the guy that runs our games, our DM, up a little bit, because
come up with a backstory for a rat.
For a rat, yeah, and then do a special voice for it, because Natalie's off talking to the wildlife again. So let me transfer this onto here so you can see a little bit better. I'm just using that, and hopefully you can see that I'm just pressing the bit onto the petal rather than necessarily using the whole veiner. You can do it on your petal pad, you can do it on your hard surface. Either way will be fine. But it's just giving us that little leafy pattern. Like so. Having used the veiner, I have of course squished out most of the shape, so I'm just going to run back around the edges. Can you see how that's just putting a little bit of shape back into the petals there? He can talk to the animals. He ends up with a pet jaguar, doesn't he? I was going to say leopard, but it's in the jungle, so it must be a jaguar. Right. I'm going to do a cross, like so. If I give that a wee wiggle. Sorry, there it is. So a cross on the petals. This is a technique that one uses quite often for lots of different things. This particular version of it, I want you to bring those petals up and fold it. Can you see that I've got two petals opposite each other there? So it's specifically folded that way. Fold the one half, fold the other two up, give the base a nice squish to attach it. Bit of corn flour on your fingers if it is sticky. We can just neaten that off a little. And you should end up with something like that. Are you zoomed in?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not perfect because Bougainvillea tend to have 3 petals, not 4. However, I suspect that when they are coloured and then we've taped them together and we've got the green bits, I think it is absolutely going to be entirely fit for purpose of what we're doing here, which was that's the new one. And then dependent on how they're sitting, you may want to pop them upside down. It might sit like this from the off. You might want to open them up. You can sort of play with it until they work. And actually this one can go upside down, so I'm just going to bend it like that. You can see there I just bent it because that means that I can just stick that in there and it's more or less upside down because my hangy rack thing is the other side of the room. So I've got a couple I prepared earlier, so we can repeat that. So you are doing your first fold about 1 centimetre down from the stamens. Fold it up the one way and then come and squish the other. And it more or less works. And of course, a bit of artistic license, as I say, 4 petals rather than 3, but also the centre of, I would imagine, so the middle, if you look at some photos of a Bougainvillea, or indeed a plant if you're lucky enough to have one, and I do love them, but they don't grow very well here. The bits in the middle are actually the little flowers. They're tiny little flower shapes. So I would imagine that the pink petals around the outside that are leaf-shaped would in fact be bracts, which is the name given to coloured leaves that appear to be petals. So on a poinsettia, for example, the red or white or pink petals, they're not petals, they're bracts because they're coloured leaves. The flowers are actually what blossom from the little bits in the middle. So they're probably, I don't know that for a fact, but that would be...
It would make sense.
With the botanical knowledge that I have accumulated over the years, that would make sense. Right, I'll do this last one here. So again, we are starting that sort of centimetre, half an inch down. Fold the 2 petals up. Fold the other 2 the other way. And then just... Oh, they go faces, they are bracts, yeah. Now we can just rearrange them a little bit. And yeah, I think they are, and I hope you guys agree, but as they capture the essence of the Bougainvillea to go on this. And actually, we've had tremendous fun over the years. I don't know if we've put the Moana one up yet, but when we did Moana, we made little miniature hibiscus type flowers as well. And yeah, they're fun. So those are our little Bougainvillea blossoms. I have made, if you want to make also to work with the next session, I've got 9. Yes, I've got 9 in total. Right, green. So I've just got a nice, bright, fresh green. Let me mix a little smidgen up here just to show you the colouring. So this is done with, I've got olive green and green. It's funny, isn't it, what you get used to in terms of weather and stuff, because I don't think, like, I hate the rain here. Especially like this year has been gloomy as hell for our so-called spring so far. So it's a bit of olive green there. I'm going to pop a little green. But I don't think I could cope living somewhere it would be hot like all summer.
No, it drives me mad.
But equally, we've friends sort of and family in that are in Alberta in Canada, where come October the snow sets in and then that's it. And we've one friend that doesn't mind it and another friend that absolutely, I think, despises it and finds it as misery-inducing as what we find the rain here. Yeah. So I don't know, I suppose it's just what you're used to. Yeah. So that's actually come up a bit greener than I wanted. So I'm going to add a little white and a little bit more olive green. So I'm just adding a bit more white there. And I'll pop in a bit more of the olive green, because can you see that the one I'm aiming for is a little sharper, and it is our olive green that gives us that. There we go. That is more than close enough, so I shall just mix the two of these together and we'll make some little leafies. So the leaves on Bougainvillea are quite bushy as well. And certainly it's something we had to include because, of course, the house in Encanto, the magic house, is covered in the flowers. So I wanted there to be plenty of leaves, but the thought of having to sit here and wire a million billion little leaves was not, when I was working this out this morning, it was not for me. So I've gone for a sort of double leaf on the end of a wire situation, which hopefully you can see there, and they do kind of end up a variety of different shapes. But again, when these are together in and amongst our flowers, it's going to give us that bushiness, and it's not going to even come close to showing that they're not each sort of individually made. So I'm going to roll out cornflower if you're sticking. It is fascinating, truly amazing, the way that certain plants, I suppose animals do it as well, but plants in particular with insects have adapted just so blooming well to accommodate, you know, that there is a plant out there somewhere that does the exact right thing for this one specific type of insect to pollinate it, etc., etc. It is tremendous. Yeah, it's quite astounding. With these, I'm just going to cut them in half. So we've got 2 2s. It's like, I'm sure I've said this before, but magnolias, I'm convinced I've said this before, so I'm so sorry if you're having this on repeat. Magnolias, as a flowering plant, flowering tree, they're so old that they are pollinated by beetles because bees didn't exist yet, which I think is
Oh, it's something.
So interesting. And then there was who did I tell this to the other day? And they knew exactly what I was talking about. That so wisterias. Wisteria is a plant. I'm just doing the same thing, by the way. I'm just stretching up that point and smoothing those edges. So wisteria is native to Southeast Asia. And it was in 17 something or other, there was a Victorian adventurer type man who went, and somebody gifted him this wisteria plant that he brought back, and was able to grow it, and it thrived and all the rest of it. And as a result of that, pretty much every wisteria in Europe has been produced from it, cloned from it, cloned as in made from a cutting. From, yeah, just this one plant that was gifted to somebody then, which is also quite amazing, I think.
Yeah.
So little leaf impressions, one on each leaf. Like so. And then these, we can pop these ones onto 28 gauge wire. So our flowers went onto 26, but these I'm going to pop onto 28. And that is simply so that when we are arranging it, we'll be able to move the leaves around easily without breaking anything. I'm once again just going to run down the sides with the ball tool. Like so. And then I'll take a couple of bits of 28 gauge wire, which I'll just cut in half and half again to make it just quarters. And then I just want to bend a little double hook in the end. So I'm just going to bend it over and then bend it towards me. So it just gives you a nice little knob on the end there that you can attach things to. And I'll do a big one to exaggerate it. So you can see, hook like that, and then we will bend that towards us so that you create a sort of a knob of wire on the end. Just a wee thing. And because it's 28 gauge, you can just do it with your fingers. And then we'll put, with one's water pen, when I locate it, there it is. This time I'm doing just sort of a little V like that.
Yeah.
Let's see on that one. So I can pop my wire on the middle, fold that over, as you can see, and then we're just again going to sort of squash that on. Better doing it with my right hand. With a bit of cornflour if we're sticking. Something like that. So that we create that little double leaf shape. And they're all going to come out slightly different shapes, which is what we want. You can give them a little tweak. But it just means we're going to be able to achieve a sort of bushy leaf effect without having had without having to sat here making bazillions of single leaves, because for this it would drive you, well, it would certainly drive me up the wall. Do feel free to make individual leaves should you wish, but as I said, not for me, and certainly not this morning. So I'll show you how to make the little glasses, which are cute, and you could use the same technique, would work for on sugar models as well if you wanted glasses. So for this I'm going to do 26 gauge wire. I'm just going to use a whole piece, I think, because better to have too much and then trim it down than to not have enough. And I want some half or sort of third width tape. That should do us. And from about halfway down the wire I'm just going to attach that up, just in case. So I've just white tape onto white wire, and you can see actually there it's just thickened it up a little bit. And then you just need something small and round. So I've actually got just a circle cutter that I'm going to use. We're going to start with this side, so not the stick side, the other side, and just bend it round like so, and just make sure that you pull it fairly tight. This is fiddly, but they do look rather nice. Once you've got that circle established, just use a little bit of tape, and this does take a minute, but again, worth it, to wrap round and get that tail attached. And I do find it's easier, where have they gone, to sort of use something to poke that through the hole, because it is fairly small. Like that. It's like sort of sewing with floral tape, would you believe? Oh, they live amongst the humans. Sorry. Right. So I've wrapped that round, and you can see that is now attached on itself to itself. We can reuse our cutter just to reshape it. The handle of your water pen is quite a nice, oh, that's a bit wide, but yes, just something round. This bit in the middle, you can do this with a pair of tweezers. You want to bend it round like that, because that's going to be sort of the bridge of the glasses. I mean, praise be that this lass in the filler has got these big round glasses as opposed to anything sort of Edna Everage style or Elton John-esque or whatever. And then we're just going to wrap that circle round again. And I do appreciate this is a bit of a with your first hand and now with your second hand sort of job. And to give us the tail so that we can use that to attach it into our posy in the end, can you see that I've sort of wrapped it round twice almost? So we'll have, just position it so that that doubled bit is at the back. And then I was going to do the same thing, so again, a little bit of tape. Which, in fact, I shall start it where that join is near the bridge of the nose. Make sure, there we are, pull that through so that they are about even. And then that's just going to feed through. I know, well, I stopped watching the David Attenborough ones because the bit at the end, which I know is just so important, but it's just so depressing. When he'll talk about, you know, here's how we filmed it, this is what this place was like when I came here 10 years ago, and here's the destitution and destruction the now. And I remember being out, this was years ago, being out in Spain, filming with Cake Flicks with the lovely Paul and David. And, you know, the day was over, we'd had dinner, whatever, we were watching this documentary, and I think it was one of the ocean ones, and it was this really sad thing that I'm not even going to talk about because I'll start crying again, of a whale and its baby whale. And I started crying, and I was just so embarrassed. But it was fine, because they were both sad too, and they're lovely guys. But yeah, I just remember being like, oh my God, you have shamed yourself, this is a thing. Yeah. Right, this is fiddly, so sorry. But you get the idea. So you're just going to keep wrapping that until you just hit that point at the side. Do you know what? I've nearly done it now. I might as well finish. There we are. And then we'll just tear that off. Yeah. These, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but her glasses are yellow, I think. We don't need to decide right now because we'll do all of our colouring and painting next time. But yes, I think they're yellow. But there we have a little miniature lorgnette, a little miniature pair of glasses that we can pop into and amongst all the other bits and pieces. And I think actually they look fiddly with the tape there, but they look quite neat. And I think certainly if one were to paint them, if you wanted to use them on a model, you would simply, where we had this second one sort of wrapped twice, if you were to start it like that, you would then have two tails. And of course, you're just going to bend that one backwards. And you can literally just create an arm, cut that off, and you would have almost functioning glasses that can then sit on the face of a model or something. Right, those are the glasses. So we're going to do a little yarn butterfly. There he is. So we want some black tape and some 26 gauge wire again. So 26 gauge wire. And we are just going to cover it in some half width black tape, like so. And then we're just going to take, I mean this is excessive to be fair, but just a couple of inches of tape and just twirl it up. If you can get it started, come on, there we are. Just twirl it up on itself. So you can see I'm literally just twisting the tape and you end up with this thin little bit which we use to make its antennae that's nice and flexible. You are then going to want some thread of some sort. So I have some cotton yarn, or it was a poly cotton yarn. You could use a bit of wool, you could use some embroidery floss, you could use sewing thread, it doesn't matter because you can just wrap as many times as you need to get those two little fluffy wings. I want just the one twist, so I'm just going to pull out a single thread from it there. That was caught at the end, there we are. And then you just want a little fork. This is a little dessert fork. You could do it with a bigger fork as well. That is, I don't know if I've got a ruler by. That's probably about be about 1.5 centimetres, I think. Oh, hang on, ruler. Oh, here, 1.5 centimetres exactly. So if you've not got a little fork, you could do it across, say, 3 prongs of a bigger fork, whatever. But all we will do is take our yarn and we're just going to wrap it around the fork a bunch of times. And I didn't count, and I'm not counting now, so just wrap until it looks about right. If you don't have yarn, as I said, you could do it with embroidery thread, you could do it with cotton thread, you could just do it with whatever. Do you know what, there's such a small bit left there, I'm just going to keep going. Wrap it round. Take your bit of black wire that we've just made, put it through underneath, so you can see it's going in between the spokes, no, the tines of the fork there. Bring it, one little adjustment, sorry. Just pop that, so that was just the twist of tape, just pop it on top, through the tines, bring it back so that it's underneath. So you can see I've got both bits there. And you're just going to twist them together. And can you see, it's tight and I'm twisting it tight, but I haven't pulled it too tight because we don't want a tight loop. We want that sort of flat shape on the front there because that makes the little body of the, what is it? Butterfly. Once we've done that, we can slide it off. And then this bit is important. You want to take a pair of pliers, so not snips, but pliers, and just press if you can. You've got to get the angle right.
You're trying to squeeze the...
Yeah. So
you're trying to close it up almost.
Pinching it on.
Yeah.
So that it is still long and straight, but it is just pinched on. And between the pinching there and the fact that, of course, the tape is waxy, those bits of thread now aren't going to go anywhere. I've got, annoyingly, the tail there from my thread is right at the front, so I'm just going to pull that through so that it's a bit less obvious. We're not cutting it, we're leaving these as little loops, which we can reposition. These, of course, we can shape and cut because that's one heck of a set of antenna there. And then we might do one little bit of dusting just now. Oh, fingers stuck in the scissors, sorry. Will we? Actually, no, I'll leave it because we could either dust this or it might be that we could paint it to make the yarn. I think it's a pinky purpley colour. Yes, I can't remember, I'll have to have a look. But we could dust it or paint it, but that feels like probably a bit of a next time thing. So what do you guys think of these butterflies? Will we try and do some other butterflies, or are you quite happy with this style of butterfly being sort of in tune with the theming of the show? So I hope you enjoyed that, making all those little cute, colourful bits and pieces. Don't forget to join us for part 2, where we'll make some other stuff and then I'll show you how to tape it all together into a delightful little posy.